An estimated 100 million people in Africa, men and women, suffer from clinical depression. Depression is a silent epidemic, and the majority of Africans don't even have access to mental health services. Across the African region, more than 116 million people were already estimated to be living with mental health conditions before the COVID-19 pandemic. Suicide rates remain particularly concerning, as are the rates of alcohol use and abuse amongst the ages of as young as 13 years. For every one woman, there are 4 men committing suicide across Africa.
As long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take. Got no votes to make, we don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. African man, yeah.
Welcome to the official episode 2 of the African Male Iris. Thank you for joining us and the usual panel. I'm DJ Tino.
Slim with the plan.
Slim with the plan.
Yeah, it's a new one, man.
Slick.
Okay, I like it. My name is Prayer Soul. Yes, that's it. I don't have any new names.
And today we're going to be touching on mental health. Mental health has been an issue that has affected African men for such a long time, and it has not been dealt with, or it has not been given the attention it needs, as it is a serious topic and a serious situation that is affecting us as men Africa-wide. So the basic definition of mental health is how a person feels, how you feel, how you think, and how you behave, right? That's what affects mental health. And the first part I think we are going to dive into are the signs of mental health. You know, it's something that we are not very aware of, to say if someone is depressed or suffering from mental health, what are the actual signs, or what can you pick up from an individual? You know, and this might help if someone who might notice this in a family member or a friend or a colleague at work, right? So we just have a few pointers, and we got some information from Tanaka Kaseke, who is actually a mental health occupational therapist, and she helped us. She helped us to just list down this guideline of the signs, causes, and possible solutions to mental health.
But that's where the definition comes from as well.
Exactly, 100%. That's where the definition comes from. So we have the first sign is a change from normal personality. So if you are an introvert, then all of a sudden you are very outgoing, you talk a lot more.
Like if Slim started talking loud, then it would be like, but
If I turned
Like
into prayer.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, so that's actually a sign of possible mental health issues, right?
I like to think it's like concealing what you're really feeling inside.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly, right?
Makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense, eh? And number 2 is neglect of important roles, right? So the things that as a man you enjoy doing, you know, the role of a husband, the role of a partner in a relationship, of a brother, a sibling, at work as well. If we see that now you're neglecting your duties, you instead of being around your family, you want to be away from them. Instead of doing your work, you see that you're slacking and not necessarily being on point with work and aspects like that. Those actually are signs and symptoms of possibly you are going through something, all right? And we've got point number 3, neglect of self-care. So, for example, for myself, who's bald-headed, then you already see me with a lot of hair but none in between. It's like, yo, what's happening, man? You know. So in dressing all scruffy, not caring really about your appearance, that's actually a sign that maybe something is wrong with that particular individual.
And also, I guess from all of the signs that you just listed,
Yeah,
typically this is the one that's last seen.
exactly.
Or that's the last one that's actually
Noticed.
Noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you can actually skip. You can skip showering for a few days, but
And we notice it on the 4th.
exactly. So and the fourth one is picking up escapism habits. So basically, you're picking up habits that allow you to block whatever you're going through. You know, just to help you to forget. You know, just like, for example, we always hear someone saying, I'm drinking my sorrows away. You know, where that period where someone is indulging in alcohol, they say they forget, it makes them forget about their issues, but it's temporary, right?
Yeah.
Early in the morning when you wake up,
Your problems are
the
staring
problems are
right
still there
back at
and you still need to face them.
Yeah.
So some people resort to drugs. You know, it's drugs, alcohol,
Sexual behavior.
sexual behavior. You know, just going on a string of partners, right? That's also signs, and various other addictions.
They won't really be partners. They'll just be
Yeah,
coping mechanisms.
coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Temporary coping mechanism.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So those, I think, are the four main areas that are seen as signs
Okay.
for mental health.
You know what? Now that you've actually said it, I can positively say that I've experienced mental health based on these signs, and I've definitely given off quite a few of these signs. Changing personality, not really taking care of yourself, how you look, indulging.
But what was your change of personality?
My change in personality. Started talking too much. I started being a prayer.
No way.
I promise you.
Are you
Wow.
serious, Slim?
I'm telling you.
That'll be a
I
change
actually
for
started
sure.
talking a lot because I felt like if I stay quiet when I'm around people, they're gonna notice that I'm
There's
going
something-
through things.
right.
So I had to hide it. The best way to do it is, just show a happy face. It's an act, and in that way, they won't actually see that this guy's depressed.
And you know what I think? What I think is very profound about that is the reason why men's health issues are not like men's mental health issues are not so in our faces is because it's like a dulling of the conscience, but it's like everybody does that in one way or the other. People drink, people use drugs, people have bad habits, people smoke, people go on a sex spree or whatever, because all you're trying to do, like exactly how you explained it, you're trying to dull your conscience, because your conscience is saying you're
There's
not
a
doing
problem.
enough. This,
Yes.
this is not working. You're just
Yes.
sad. You're always having these deeply negative thoughts, and it can also be. It can look like just a bad day. So you never really see that someone's getting into depression because they might be just having a bad day. It might just be a bad week. So it's almost like it's difficult to notice in everyday conversations because it's such a subtle issue. And I think, I don't know how, but I think that's kind of where we just need to learn to be a bit more, like to have more conversations about it, which is really why we also picked this discussion, because it's difficult to to see that this person's not okay.
Yeah.
Because you could just say, he's always like that.
Yeah.
Or, nah, it's just a rough patch. It's just, because then how are you going to know what a rough patch is versus depression?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder, is it something you see in yourself where other people actually have to point it out to you? Have you noticed?
It goes both ways. It goes both ways. If you're cognizant of the signs as an individual, you can actually see that, you know what, I think I'm sliding into depression, right? That's how you can actually see. Or look at the signs that usually people people that are depressed give off, and then you compare them to the signs that you're also giving off, and then if they tally, then obviously you can see that you're in depression. But then it's also people can actually see if you're in depression because it's evident. If you go for days without bathing, if you're stuck in a shell and you don't want to come out, you don't want to meet people, it's clearly evident that you're in depression.
Yeah.
And I think,
But I think it's actually easier for people to notice that you're in depression than it is
For yourself.
for the individual to notice that they themselves are in depression.
yeah.
So it goes both ways.
And I think there has to be a certain level of self-awareness. I mean, like, self-awareness is such a big thing for me because I noticed how when you know yourself, like when you're comfortable with your own individuality as a person, you give yourself time and grace to know that this is who I really am. These are the things that make me happy. These are the things that make me sad and cause me to behave in a way that I don't want to be, that I don't eventually like. And you know your boundaries. And I feel like sometimes we don't have that level of self-awareness.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is when you sort of just spiral, but you don't see it because you just think, right now it's just, that's what I'm going through.
It's actually difficult to spot that trend of abnormal behavior because when you're depressed, right, you have these low moments.
Yeah.
And then when you indulge in the addictions, you get that temporary high.
Yeah.
So that kind of like fools your mind into thinking that,
Exactly.
you know what, everything is okay.
Yeah.
And then when that temporary pleasure disappears, you snap back into depression again.
Yeah.
So if you're not self-aware, like
Exactly.
how you mentioned, it's very difficult to spot those abnormal behavior trends.
Yeah.
So self-awareness is number one, right?
Nah, self-awareness
Just knowing
is definitely
yourself,
yeah,
yeah.
because what it also does is it allows you to create a relationship with yourself. Because when I went through my bout of a depression episode, it was because I have a healthy relationship with myself. Like I can just spend some time alone.
Okay.
I can take myself out to lunch and just think, okay, this is not going well. Is this because of me? Is this because of the people I'm working with? Is this because of the environment? What do I need to change? Do I need to change something about me? And then sometimes I can realize that I'm being too hard on myself, or I can realize I'm actually slacking. But you need to be able to almost be conscious of that concept of I need to be able to just also talk to myself in a healthy way and tell myself, you know what, this hasn't been working, but I'm sure it'll get better because I'm trying to do my best and blah, 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 and then you sort of, you're creating a relationship with yourself, and that's what self-awareness really is. But I feel like we don't take time out to do that. And because of that, that's where that situation where it's hard for you to see because if I do this, I feel better. So let me just do that because it makes me feel better. And then you just tell yourself, Kuti, that's what it is.
That's
if I
true,
do this, I'm gonna feel better. So let me just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Even if it's got its consequences, you're like, hey, it's life, whatever.
Oh, yeah. In addition to that as well, there's the aspect of societal expectations, for the male individual.
Yeah.
So how that ties into depression is the fact that you as a man are expected to behave and to think in a certain way. So anything that points to mental instability, right, points to you being weak.
Yeah.
So as a man, you're going to say,
100%.
you know what? I'm a guy. I cannot think this way. I cannot behave this way. So
I need to toughen up.
This doesn't exist. you know?
Exactly.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And then you push it to the side. But they're not actually realizing that if you don't address whatever it is that's sparking that thought, right? It's you're going to like shove it under the rug or sweep it under the rug, but it's going to be a problem that's going to grow bigger than what you can handle. And then as soon as it does that, it builds into depression,
Yeah.
builds into chronic depression. And because you're not self-aware that, you know what, I have a problem
Yeah.
which I need to address, it's going to go on, right? And then that's when it leads to you looking for other ways to suppress that feeling or that negative thought that you
Yeah.
have inside. That's when you dive into the alcohol and the drugs and everything else that goes on.
Wow. I think that's a good roundup for the signs of mental health. And of course, our second part will look at the causes
Right.
of mental health. And of course, in between that, as you're aware, we do have our segments. As we mentioned in the first episode, that Prayer will be giving advice on business tips, Slim on the health and fitness, and myself, it's more of entertainment and tips for fathers, right? And I think the first segment we're going to look into before we go into the causes of mental health is business. From,
Okay, cool.
Prayer Soul.
Yes. So, before people start questioning my net worth and why I'm talking about business, I want to say
You know what
I'm
they say.
going to be sharing business stories. So
You're curating.
Yes, I'm a
Yes.
curator. I don't have a million yet, but we're basically going to have a business segment in the show where we're going to be talking about different types of business that people can get into. We'll invite some people who are in those kind of businesses, and then they get to give tips on how they started, how it's going, what kind of money it makes, where they're based, and how the whole thing goes. So if you have anything interesting that you'd like to share with us that's going well for you, or like a case study that you can back up with numbers and that's legit, would love to hear from you guys. And in short, I'm basically going to our first focus when we do the business segment in full is I'm going to give my personal experience of what I'm doing right now. So I run a company called Donovan's Properties, and we are an Airbnb management agency. And basically, we manage properties. So if you own a property and you'd like for it to go on Airbnb, we are your people. We'll come and help you from the first stage of furnishing it to listing it, and to managing it and making sure it's profitable. And then you get a report every month of how it's performing. And then we just, advise on what can make it better. And then we also have, there's a strategy in real estate called rental arbitrage, where you rent out a place for cheap and then you put up a little bit of money, you furnish it, and then you rent it out yourself. So it's like a rent to rent.
Okay.
That's actually doing some really good numbers, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Our first project that was like that is a little cottage that we got. It looked like shit. Guys, it was terrible. But the numbers just made sense to me. I was like, yo, it's really cheap. So I looked at how much work we had to put in. So we had to put like new flooring, carpet tiles in the bedroom. We had to do a new shower floor and put some mosaic in there. And ran the numbers, made some mistakes, had to ask for an extension, was late with rent for the first month. But once we listed that thing, guys, it is phenomenal. So I'm hoping maybe one time we can actually do one of
A
our
tour.
episodes
That'd be perfect.
at that cottage.
That'd be great.
So I can show you guys what it's like, and then maybe we can get into like the full discussion of what that kind of business looks like. But just managing Airbnbs is like a really cool way of getting into the real estate space without really spending too much money. And if you're good with people and you're passionate about it, then it's definitely something that you can learn and get into and actually start earning money. And it's not really like a full-time business. It's always busy like towards the weekends when most people book, and then it gets busier in summer, and then it kind of slows down in winter. But it's a really, really cool and viable business. I mean, yeah. So that is the kind of talk that we're going to be having in the business segment, where we share case studies of businesses that are doing well, and then we just share tips on that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for that, Prayer. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah. And now we actually go to the second part of our topic of mental health, which are the causes.
Right.
So it's not limited to the pointers we have here, but these are the common causes that picked out when someone actually then suffers from mental health. So you have genetic and biological causes. So depression that runs within the family, right? It can be hereditary, or an illness that changes your health significantly. So we say someone, maybe you start suffering from diseases like diabetes, or you diagnosed with cancer, blood pressure, and having those illnesses kind of affects, of course, someone in terms of their mental health, how you're coping with it. Knowing that I have this condition for
For your life.
life, most times.
You slip into depression.
Yeah, slides someone into depression. Then we go to social factors, which is our African culture, the acceptance of the mental health condition, right? Mental health, it's too conservative, right? It's not, as you mentioned earlier, Slim, that as an African male, you just expected to get over it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to suck it in.
Yeah, suck it in, toughen
Suck
up.
it in, toughen up, move on.
Move on. And from an African culture, it's kind of, it doesn't do an African man any justice.
Imagine trying to tell your grandfather or your grandmother that I have depression.
Depression.
It just sounds like you're moody.
Yeah,
Or
and
you're
they'll start
making
telling you
excuses.
about their
Yeah, or you're
their
making
struggles.
excuses.
Bro.
Yeah.
They'll start telling you about their struggles and how these generations that have come after them have become soft, and yet we're living in different times, different social pressures, different economic pressures even. Yeah, so
That's true.
Yeah, but I got a question there.
Yeah.
There's something that I bumped into on Instagram. I think it was 50 Cent in one of his interviews. He said
it's a choice, right?
no, kind of. He said something like, when I was growing up, I couldn't afford to be depressed. And then the interviewer was like, what do you mean? And he was like, there was no time to almost be comfortable enough to sort of check your feelings, because things were so hard. You just needed to do what was necessary to put food on the table and to get a hustle and get life moving. Almost like when life is really tough, you don't have time to you don't have time to think about how you feel about certain things and why this is happening or this is not fair or whatever. And it got me conflicted, because there was a part of that I actually can relate with, where I don't know if it's the whole being an African, like being brought up as an African male, where you just know that you have responsibilities, and you know that you have to take care of your wife and you have to take care of the kids, and so when it's time to make sure that you have money for school fees, you're not going to be thinking about your feelings. You are really just going to be like, you know what? So I don't know if that's part of like some higher level of self-awareness, where you're just like, you know what? Let me just make sure that I take care of my people, because if I take care of my people, I'm sure that I'll feel better. So you kind of just shut it down or suppress it. I don't even know if that's even a healthy way, or if that's like the best way to express it. But maybe people can let us know what they think about that.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to know, because I feel like there's a lot of fine lines between being a victim and just sort of saying, I'm depressed. Because sometimes some people will say they're depressed when they're not, and it's something else. And we need to be able to know for sure how to sort of call it out. And
because others can gauge it as being lazy, right? Laziness.
Yeah.
Say you rather take the easy
like, where do you
route
draw
out.
the line?
Yeah,
Exactly.
easy route out. I'm depressed. This is my background. I'm depressed. I can't do this. I can't do that. But at what point are you going to then say, you know what? I won't let this define where I'm going. I think
Right.
that thin line you're saying that.
Yeah.
You know what, bro? Maybe
yeah.
maybe I can give my 2 cents on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like giving the example that you gave us, right?
Uh-huh.
Whereby 50 was saying that he didn't have time to be depressed.
Yeah.
I feel like there were bouts of depression, but there just wasn't any scientific evidence that was around to actually pinpoint that whatever it is
Is
that
it
he was
clinical?
going through,
Yeah.
yes, is actually depression.
Right.
For example, if you look at our fathers or grandfathers back then, right? Yes, they might have seemed like they had their things together,
Right.
but then you'd find
you
out.
didn't want to say things. That
Yeah, I didn't want to say the S word. Yeah, I was like,
yeah. Yeah, they looked like they had.
looked like they-
had it together.
they had it together.
Yeah.
But you realize that they went on to beat our grandmothers. They went on to be physically abusive. They
not
they
be
went
present.
on to get where I'm coming from.
Yes.
They didn't give enough love to their kids.
Yeah.
They didn't, or they spent too much time at the bar, etc.
Yeah.
So those are or were the signs of depression.
Right.
But just because it wasn't a subject that had been talked about enough,
Yeah.
I
I know.
couldn't
I
actually
know.
pinpoint
Bro, I know. Like, Slim is trying to.
Yo.
Slim is trying to take my money. No, Slim. That's a good point. Do you know what I like about that? It's. I feel like what you just said, almost gives more clarity in the sense that, for example, if you're like struggling financially, you're going to do what needs to be done. But if because I think 50's perspective could have actually been just a hustler's perspective to say,
from a
you know
hustler's
what,
point of view.
I don't wanna feel sorry for myself.
Uh-huh.
I just want to do what I need to do to get out, right? And that could be just some kind of self-motivation, and it's not necessarily linked to any depression whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true.
You
You know, 50
but
was a boxer.
really,
Yeah, he was a pro boxer before he went into rapping.
wow,
So, bearing that in mind,
right?
that could be where
He released
was.
his.
He released whatever it is that
Okay,
was dealing
would
with.
have potentially
Okay.
depressed him.
right,
more
and
like a
he-
hobby that he got. and,
Yes.
Released it on people's faces.
Yeah.
right.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you see, and I feel like sometimes you get yourself out because of your ambition,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't know that you're at danger of getting into depression, but because you've got this ambition, you kind of just lean into the ambition and into the things that will make you feel like you're making some steps, you're making some progress. And I feel like maybe because we're obviously going to get into like coping mechanisms and all of that, and I feel like maybe
Those probably a coping mechanism.
yes,
right?
and I feel like maybe that's where we can sort of draw some lines
Yeah.
and say, some people will say they're depressed, and it's to get attention.
Exactly.
Some people will say that because they just enjoy getting sympathy from people. And then some people actually have a problem. Like what you're saying, the example of our grandfathers or whatever, where they paid for all the bills. They would go and they would work hard, and everyone would never question their work ethic, or if they want to take care of their family or their role as the provider. But they had some issues because there was a lot of domestic violence, there was a lot of alcohol abuse, and maybe they just didn't have access to drugs, but they could have gotten into drugs, you know? And I think it's also important to be able to know the difference and to be conscious when you get into the conversation about depression, whether this is actual depression, is it something that needs to be clinically diagnosed, or is it just it's a gray
A
area?
cry
Yeah,
for
like
attention.
yeah, or it's a cry for
And
attention.
actually, the last point we had on causes is usually the environment. The environment you grow up in, neighborhoods you stay in. If your neighborhood has got extreme levels of violence, per se, you're witnessing people getting shot, people getting killed,
Right.
and it's kind of like the norm in the area where you grow up, and that contributes to mental health. And political influence, even in the household that you grew up in. We hear of different types of abuse that happens in families, and even young men. Cases of young men also being abused is on the rise as well, currently in modern society. So these are aspects as well that contribute to mental health or mental health issues. And I guess this gives rise to our third part, which will be the possible solutions thereof when it comes to mental health. Right?
Hey, bro, can I just throw in like a quick?
Yes, sure.
Is this it's from the United Nations.
All right.
Oh, I thought you were texting your girlfriend.
No, man.
Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Prayer, bro. This is a serious discussion.
That's why I was thinking, what are you doing?
Okay, it says that the African region is home to 6 of the 10 countries with the highest suicide rates worldwide. The
Sorry,
common
read
means-
that again?
Yes. The African region
Yes.
is home to 6 of the 10 countries with the highest suicide rates worldwide.
Wow.
Guys.
Right?
That's hectic, man.
And then obviously the common means of suicide in the region are hanging, pesticide, self-poisoning. Remember when there was a trend of people drinking poison?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rat poison.
Yeah,
TikTok
rat
and-
poison.
Just last week, there was a string of students that drank rat poison
Yeah.
at school, and you didn't see that?
No.
Yeah.
Young girls, actually.
Are you serious,
yeah,
bro?
Yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's bad, man.
Shucks.
And to a lesser extent, drowning, the use of a firearm, jumping from a height, or medication overdose. But studies show that in Africa, right, for each completed suicide, there are an estimated 20 attempted ones.
Wow.
So whatever rates that you see out there, right, it could have been a potential 20 where there's one successful one.
One successful one. Who
That's
actually
crazy. Those
died.
numbers are insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, those numbers are insane.
Guys, that's sad.
Yeah.
It is sad. So
So is this like should we say this is caused by like our Africanness? Like, what is it? Why are we at 6 out of 10 in Africa? Like
Life
globally.
is tough, bro.
Life is tough.
Life is tough.
That's true, bro. Life is tough.
No,
Yeah, but I mean life is tough. Like life is tough in different parts of the world, but
That's true, but then
I guess-
in different parts of the world, they don't have to worry about what they're going to eat
yeah.
that night.
I guess.
you know.
yeah,
That's how
Shucks,
tough
man,
it
that's
is
so
in
ish,
Africa,
that's so
bro.
sad.
it's
That's
just imagine as a
sad.
man, and this is something that happens across Africa. As a man, you see your family looking up to you, asking, "What are we going to have to eat tonight?" And you don't
Yeah.
have an answer.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
don't have a solution there. And these
Like
are the,
right, our needs are right at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, bro.
Yeah.
We're still struggling with shelter. We're still struggling with
Water.
food. We're still struggling.
Yeah.
with the basic needs.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, yeah, we're all. Whereas in first world countries, they're worried about self-actualization. Bro.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, I was waiting for this segment to actually talk about what my episode was like for when I felt like I was getting into depression. It was just before COVID, and I was running 3 businesses, and they were all just picking up. Like, no, the one was already like in in our third year, and that was like it was like my main income. It was a big event, and it was doing very well, but it was still growing, and it was growing so fast, guys. It was a monthly event.
I remember we used to go there a lot.
Yeah.
We used to go there. It was beautiful, man.
Exactly.
It was beautiful.
And it was growing fast, bro. And because of that, I had more money to invest in other things. So I started like a monthly music event, and then I also got into a partnership where we were doing outdoor movies.
Okay.
And then all three of them got sponsorship.
Okay.
Like they were all profitable before the sponsorship and right at the beginning. Okay. And then we got with the outdoor cinema, we got a big client, UN Women. We were in talks with them about doing an annual project where we were going to manage all of their outreach, entertainment related programs. And the music event, the audience we targeted, we had already surpassed it from day one, and then that main event is just shooting, and then we were getting calls from sponsors. They want to partner, so everything was going brilliantly well, and I'd been working almost all my life to just be in a space like that, and I was, but I was only in that space for 3 months.
Yes.
And then COVID
hits.
So all of these three, as you can tell, are event-based businesses. So all of them shut down. And as you can tell, I'm an extrovert. This is what I love to do, talk to people, and I was at home, not making money.
Locked up.
Guys.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
What it does to your mind, guys. Yo.
No outlet.
And then it started being very difficult because I remember at that time we were my wife and I were starting to save up and whatever, because I always wanted to do real estate. So we're so we're going to start saving up some money, and then we're going to start buying properties, and then, testing out, should we do student accommodation? Should we do Airbnb or whatever? And I just felt like I'm progressing. I was right, my life is about to, go to the next level. And then there was no income.
Yeah.
And then you can't go anywhere. And now there's just challenges on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And, we start chowing that savings and whatever.
Yes,
With my business partner, we'd already created a little fund to start, paying for stuff before the event happens. So we started calling each other and we're yo, bro, we're going to have to take that venue money and just split because I'm running out of... Yeah. And
can I give you a different perspective about you chowing your money?
Yeah.
Or chowing the savings that you had?
Yeah.
Do you actually realize that everything that happened prior to COVID actually saved you? Because you were going to have a really hard time during COVID.
Without any
I
savings.
did, Slim, because the money ran out, bro.
But hear me out, though. Imagine if you had not.
Yeah. I mean, no, definitely.
So if you had, when you're going through depression, if you had shifted your mindset, right, and looked at it from that point of view, and actually said, you know what, everything that I've built before COVID came, it was in preparation for COVID.
For something like this. No, and I did, because I'm an optimist, bro. I'm an optimist. In a group of optimists, I can be the most optimistic optimist. But what became difficult was, it was easy to be grateful for that in the first 6 months.
Oh yeah, I get you.
But then COVID kept going on,
and then
the money ran out. And then now my masculine instinct is yo, I'm not bringing in any money.
Yeah,
into
family.
this
Everyone's
family.
looking at you like...
Yeah.
That hits you. That's
And
depression.
that was probably one of the most difficult times, because then my wife started getting, when they started lifting those regulations, and then you could do something, and then there's hours and lockdown times and whatever. So my wife actually got private tutoring gigs. So she was making money.
She was making money, and you were not.
Yes. So she's getting into the car. She's driving to go and work, and I'm
you're
staying with the
home.
kids.
Yeah.
And that is not how
Messed you up.
I've
man.
been.
Yeah.
So, guys, it was difficult.
I've got a question, though. Would you say you had
Slim is putting me on the spot today. It's payback from that episode. Right?
Yeah.
Remember, I think
put me on the spot,
that's the
right?
beauty about this, because when we share our experiences, we're actually learning from each other as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I actually want to find out what the dynamics were in terms of that shift in the roles within your family.
Yeah.
She became the provider, and then you
Yeah.
became the supportive partner.
Yeah.
Did you guys actually sit down and chat about it, or was there
Absolutely.
a natural progression towards it, or that actually caused a rift between the two of you? How did that go?
It did affect like our relationship, because that's not the normal dynamic of the relationship that we had. I mean, she was already working, so we would always like combine incomes and then say, I'll do this and this.
You were
this, 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 this.
emasculated.
Yeah, I was. I really was.
Yeah.
And I mean, my wife is like a really brilliant partner, to be honest, and I think I'm lucky to have her, because she knew that about me, right? So she would actually say, "This is how much we have.
Okay.
So how are we gonna do it?" Because in our relationship, she's the spender and I'm the
You're
I'm the guy who
conservative
wants
one.
to save and
I
whatever
got you.
and invest.
I got you.
And then she's the one who's always like, "No, but we need to get this, right?" So because we both know and are comfortable in those roles, it was easy for us to transition into this, because
Okay.
she knew that, if it was up to me, I would end up just spending on the wrong thing. So I will just say, "This is how much I'm getting. What should we do with it?" So, I mean, it wasn't as bad as other situations that I've heard of, because she would sort of allow me to lead in terms of, okay, we're not making as much as we used to, but you can guide us on how we can do that.
And would you say that is probably, or that was probably the first step that you took, or rather, it was the first thing that helped you get out of the depression that you were in?
No.
having a
No,
supportive partner?
bro. That the depression was
Or
happening while all of that was happening.
Or did that worsen the situation?
No, it was okay. It was a thing that was okay. But because I'm such an ambitious guy, it's an internal thing. So it wasn't really about my wife is making more than I am, and that's what I'm depressed about. It was also about I can't do anything.
Yeah.
On an individual.
I have a question,
Yeah.
sort of to lead on from what Slim is saying.
Yeah. Guys, interviewing. Oh my God. Why did I even...
I think for me, it's, when you look back at life sometimes, it's easy to be like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that?
Yeah.
Right? But when you're in the situation, everything just seems like it's stacked like against you, right?
Oh
Yeah.
Oh yes.
A lot of people during COVID, outside of making banana bread, came up with a lot of brilliant ideas.
Innovations.
Right, innovation,
Yes.
started making money in their
Yes.
houses, etc.
Yeah.
Did you feel like your ability to make money was limited to your ability to being outside? I'm trying to
100%,
what?
bro.
like being outside, because he said
Yeah.
he's an extrovert.
Yeah.
Everything was events based.
Yeah, like
So-
even myself with my events as well, with the DJing side of things.
Guys, but you had the internet, you had TikTok, you
Bro,
had
bro.
with your character, you could have made a killing on TikTok.
Yeah, on
Just
TikTok.
record
Yeah, I
yourself
can't
every
dance,
day.
bro. The most dance.
Doing the most ridiculous things, talking about the most ridiculous.
You know what? I mean, there were a couple of things I
actually,
actually tried.
Yeah.
Because I was really trying to get myself out of it.
Yeah.
So I started doing online shows. So I'd go live on Instagram and then I'd perform. And then I actually got like one of my sponsors for the live music event. Actually, then switched to, bro, we can actually pay for branding while you do your Instagram live shows. So I would do the shows, and then I'd get like 200, 300 people coming through to watch, and then I'll be talking, singing, and then I perform my music, and people enjoyed that.
Okay. We should
But
have done verses.
That's actually a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. So I did have things
Ended up
because
generating
yeah.
income.
It didn't really, because then he also was running out of money because the lockdowns and whatever. So it's
COVID
almost
was
like
just a mess, bro.
it started off with there could be ways we can cope with this. There should be something else that I can do. There should be that something, and then I ended up selling one of my cars, and then I started like doing an eggs business, and I turned my garage into like I had bought cages for chickens and chicken feed and whatever. But because everyone was trying to just also do something like that, like the market got flooded,
it was
and
really
then the
flooded,
prices
really
just went
fast.
to
It was
the
limited in
dogs,
terms of
like
what you could
like it was just. This was just not working. That was not working. That kind of starts working. Then it doesn't work. Then that. So it kept being a lot of. I'm trying to do this. Okay, that's not working.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this. It looks like it's working. It's not working anymore. And then so it became like a continuous list of negative things that were happening. And as much as I was an optimist, I would always try and find, the silver lining, but it was just like a tough time, like for the whole world, And
that's what I wanted to say. That
and let me tell you
couldn't
this.
find consolation from the fact that everyone else was suffering.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
going through the
exactly
same.
what I want to say,
Yeah.
Slim. That is one of the reasons why people then can't share their own personal frustration, because the moment you're like, guys, I'm struggling, like I was struggling to the point where I started smoking, because every time I'd want to talk about, because I know exactly,
Who
like,
do you talk
like I'm
to?
very self-aware, so I know how to deal with my depression. When I'm frustrated, when I'm stressed, I have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I know that about
You
myself.
let it out, yeah.
And I already know, I will call Kuda. I can call this person. I can call that person. I can talk to Tino. Like, I know the people who can listen to me if I really want to vent about something. And I always feel better when I do that.
Okay.
But during that time,
Everyone wanted to vent.
or some people didn't want to vent, and they'd be like, yeah, bro, it's the whole world, bro.
Yeah,
like,
it's the whole
hey,
world.
come
It
on.
is what it
It is
is.
what it is. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Sha, it is what it is. But
But
it's
still.
terrible.
I think it's
and,
good
and, and I
because
think
we are.
that,
Yeah.
And I think that for me was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, and it was tough for a lot of people. But I feel like, just always that self-awareness thing is always such a big thing for me, because I had to slowly get myself out of it, because I slowed down when I realized everything I'm trying is just not working. So most of my days would just always be at home, online, just sitting outside, smoking and trying not to smoke too much.
Yeah, I think. Thank you for sharing that, prayer. And I think to close off that causes, we look at possible solutions thereof, and just to remind you that these are guidelines that we've been given by a medical professional, and her name is Tanaka Kaseke. She's actually a mental health occupational therapist.
Does she have social media handles or
Social
email
media.
address?
Yeah, I
or-
think that's something
We can
we'll
put
probably-
them up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll put them
Phone
up,
number.
definitely.
I think so.
We'll put them up. So whoever wants to actually consult can actually, yes.
Okay.
All right, so for solutions, there are solutions that are actual clinical conditions which will need medication. So if you are diabetic, if you suffering from blood pressure, cancer, you actually then need to be administered, administered medication for that. And if it's clinical depression, it actually needs antidepressants, for example, right? E.g., like as I was mentioning, for the blood pressure with meds and clinical antidepressants for depression.
I suffer from anxiety, bro.
Anxiety.
And I have a sort of prescribed pills.
Really?
That I take, yeah.
How
When-
tell me about that. How did you
How did you know?
how did you know? Yes.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness, eh?
Yeah,
You see that
self-awareness,
something
you
has
know.
changed, something is different about me, and
Well, you just get to a point whereby you
What was the
start
what
seeing
happened?
a trend
What happened the first time you thought that you might have
that
anxiety?
I had anxiety. I think I bumped into an article about it,
Uh-huh.
and then I kind of just had a quick self-introspection moment,
Right.
and then I was like, I think this is
What's
I'm
going on with
potentially
me?
suffering from,
Ah.
you know. And then from there, I became self-aware. So there are certain things that would happen, and I would behave in a certain way, and then actually realize that, this is somewhat of a panic attack, or I'm actually suffering from anxiety at this particular moment.
Right.
And then I seeked help.
okay.
Got prescription pills. So
So how do they
Now-
check for that? Do they do like a medical test?
They do a
Evaluation.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
And then when you, so now, if I feel like I'm going to expose myself to an environment where I might potentially
Have an
get an
anxiety
anxiety
attack.
attack, I drink the pill in the morning.
Okay.
Mm.
So
I
the
didn't
already
drink one now,
environments.
This is just.
So
I didn't
they're
drink it today.
so the environments that trigger.
Yeah,
kind
of
trigger
course.
anxiety.
Of
right?
course. If you know that you're going to go
Like what?
into a
Like what,
serious
Slim?
work meeting
Oh, okay.
where you where there might be a potential back and forth between colleagues, you take it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that way, you're okay. You're
calmer.
not going to get into any
Right.
panic attack. If for people like me, I'm an introvert, right?
Yeah.
And at times I do get social anxiety.
Right.
So if I know that I'm going to a concert, or if I know that I'm going somewhere where I'll be exposed to a lot of social interactions, I might pop a pill in the morning, and that will help me with
Just cope.
You know what?
with it.
Do you know what? I'm actually.
Before I used to use alcohol. See, that's where the thing is.
That's the habits.
Yes.
Before I used to
the
drink.
addictions.
Yeah.
So I would be sweet and mellow throughout any social interaction because I'm drunk and I've got the liquid courage.
Yeah.
Right. But then when I took a break from alcohol, that's when it really hit me that I think I might have social anxiety.
All right.
Right.
So
Interesting,
now I
man.
just pop a pill and
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
And you'll be good.
Yeah.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
Thanks
So
for-
that's the point on clinical
clinical. Yeah. So
depression and how to.
no, thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And being taught new adaptive coping mechanisms, right?
This one is an interesting for me.
Yeah.
Interesting
Yeah.
one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I it never crossed my mind that.
New skills.
Yeah,
Mm.
and because like I studied social science, I majored in sociology, and that just made perfect sense when I read it. And I was like, when you learn something, your defenses are low because you're admitting that I don't know anything about this. So what that does is you're okay with being vulnerable because you're saying, I don't know what it is, but I'd like to learn. And you sort of put yourself in a space where you build confidence in a completely new thing.
Yeah.
And
And
that
it's
is such a
also
powerful thing because when you just have that one part of your life that's building confidence, it's just naturally going to spread around to everything else.
So, yeah.
The same way, we were talking about how just going to the gym in the morning, it sets a certain tone to
Yeah.
the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Because you already have that dopamine in the morning, so you're kind of feeling like, I need to do this. I've already done my workout. So you start feeling like you're winning, And I never thought about how just learning a new skill gives you that win and gives you a continuous win and I feel like that's definitely stuff we need to do.
Yeah.
We definitely need to have more conversations like where Slim says, yeah, I've got, I get anxiety attacks. And then people learn what it is because
Yeah.
people act like they know because they don't want to ask because it's rude in the African culture. Like my son is autistic, and every time someone tries to talk to him, and then he doesn't respond, they kind of wonder why. And then I say, oh, he's autistic. Then they say, oh, okay, but they don't really know what it means.
What it means.
Yeah, like they don't understand what
such a broad
it's a wide spectrum, and so it's like they're now afraid because they feel like it might be too rude to say.
To say what?
So what does it mean?
On which levels?
Exactly. Or
is
they
he at,
just to be ashamed. They're too ashamed to even just say, I don't know what
don't
that
know
really
that
means.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of where a lot of issues around depression disappear too, because if you just say, yeah, I get anxiety attacks, then they're just like, okay. Because now they're just like, I don't know if I should ask, or he's gonna get another, or maybe he's gonna get an anxiety attack. Is it like epilepsy, but it's social? What is it? You just don't ask. You just say, oh, okay, cool. Then you ignore it and then you just sort of move on. And I feel like the more we're not afraid to ask about stuff we don't know, is it then opens up you to understanding more, to knowing that, okay, so because I'm an extrovert, so I don't have problems with.
On my behalf,
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Please mine.
100%.
Hold up,
100%.
Yeah, please pay. And I think that
AK, we're gonna give you 20 at the end of the show.
I don't want pity money.
and I feel like for an extrovert, it's a completely different experience to be worked up about a big presentation at work. For me, I'm just like, yo, I'm gonna murder that thing, bro.
Of course.
You know, I'm actually
You want their
excited.
attention.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually excited because I know that I'm gonna thrive. Like, please don't ask press all to present anything, bro.
Yeah,
like, because I'm
because-
gonna go all out.
Funny enough, when it comes to presentations, I'm always nervous on presentations.
Right.
Like it's my
Right.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter how many times I've done it.
Right.
Even when I have a gig and my wife gets annoyed sometimes because I like to be there like 2-3 hours before.
Right.
I set up
Just to set
everything.
up. And then
I'm
you
really,
sit,
yeah,
and then
no,
you
I'm
start
really,
counting your
yeah,
fingers.
I set
But
up,
that's because you're a
I
perfectionist.
do the
you know.
sound.
I don't know if you know
everything.
that about yourself.
Yeah, well,
But you're a
actually, yeah.
perfectionist, like
I-
us
I
Slim.
didn't know,
We
yeah.
are in a WhatsApp group with you, so we
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so it's very interesting. You know, when you guys are talking, you actually then notice certain aspects of oneself.
Of yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
But that's because
lead
we are not afraid to then delve into
Exactly,
a discussion.
Exactly.
And most times,
Bro, we not afraid.
yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, that's why we now know all of these things about each other.
Yeah.
Because we've
That's so
actually
true,
had
though.
the conversation.
That
But
is
how many
true.
times have you had this anxiety conversation with your boys?
No one else.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying,
honest,
Slim.
no
Like,
one
this
else.
is what I'm saying. So,
There's no way I'm gonna mention this to my boys. Bro.
why not?
What? And then they say,
Yeah, but there's
And then
10,000
in-
10,000 people are going to
and then
see
they
this
call me
episode,
Mr.
bro.
Anxiety.
Oh, my
Always. Not gonna happen.
All right. So
well,
you
it's
see,
too late.
so where to get this help in the African society? Like the biggest myth is that you should only seek help when things hit the fan, like when you're down to the ground, and that's when people then expect you to cry out for help. But
Yeah.
not actually doing it when you have the early signs of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's.
Yeah.
I think another thing we need to do is not mascularize.
Yeah. Mental
Yeah,
health.
the concept of safe spaces.
If it's not there, you've added it to the dictionary.
Yes, if it's not there, if it's not there, it's there now. I think we need to normalize. That's a safer one.
Yeah.
We need to normalize. We need to normalize being able to understand what safe spaces are for men. Like for example, you need to know
And create them as well.
Yeah, exactly, and create them where if I ever need to talk about my anxiety issues, I can talk to Tino and Prayer because I've already told them. So I can just be like, "Yo, ish, bro,
I'm on the
today's
spot."
today's a hectic day, blah blah blah," and being able to know who to go to, and who to go to for those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody, like every man, needs to know that about themselves.
True.
They need to know themselves well enough to know their strengths, their weaknesses, where their breaking points. They also need to know who they're in their circle, who are their safe spaces, who are the people who, if I need to talk about something sensitive, they're going to actually listen.
Yeah.
I think you definitely do that for your own mental health. You need to have a circle in your mind where you're like, when I need to talk about business,
Yeah.
I need someone who can motivate me. I need to have a business mentor. When
Someone who won't judge me.
and
Yeah.
if I need to just be honest about what's really going on with me, and I just need to vent, I need to talk to this person or that person, and if I just feel like I'm losing it, I need to talk to this person or whatever. And I feel like that's so important because what it does is it keeps your mental health healthy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like you're always in a healthy space because now you know how to cope.
Yeah.
If you just feel yourself slipping and you feel like maybe I'm taking the anxiety medication too much, or maybe I'm drinking too much, or maybe I'm smoking too much, then you know that, okay, this is a person who I can talk to because I've told them about the problem.
Yeah.
So when I start to slip, they can even hold me accountable. Yeah.
So, we talk of lifestyle changes, that will help. So the media you consume. Sometimes people are into a lot of dark humor. You know, if
Or porn.
yeah, pornography. You know, the habits you take on. Gym. You mentioned gym.
Yes,
It's a good
guys,
thing
it's been
too.
6 months or
Right?
more.
But in 2 months you'll be back.
My
there.
arms used to be bigger than like all of you.
We believe you. We believe you.
show us some evidence, bro.
No, okay,
So,
I'll bring
yeah.
pictures on the next episode, guys.
So we got Slim here in the near future. He'll be going a lot of this gym and good nutrition. You know, that's actually something to look into
Absolutely.
as a coping mechanism for mental health. Reaching out to your network, to your siblings, to your partner, just being able to have a platform, a safe space to share, you know, and be yourself and really talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, good role models. You know, just look up to people like mentors. I know there's an episode that Slim mentioned, a business mentor that he has.
Yeah.
Just reach out. You know, the worst someone can say is no.
Yeah.
You know, if you see someone that you think, okay, this person might be a positive influence in my life, why not reach out to them? That I look up to you. Would it be okay if we, you know?
And
start
most
meeting up?
people will not. They'll give you time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll
Most
give you
people
time.
actually enjoy to share
To share.
their
Exactly.
stories and give advice.
Funny. With my boss in when I started my IT career.
Right.
My first boss, we were going for a project. There was a project we're doing in Zambia, and he came along. You know, he comes to do the big presentation.
We all know
Right.
what came out of Zambia.
Yeah,
We all know what he got from that trip.
yeah. To give context, my wife is from Zambia.
Right.
So yeah, so our boss does the presentation, then he leaves us to do the actual project implementation and everything. So he took us out for dinner, like the team that went to Zambia, and he just like, you know, guys, one thing that I've seen with you guys, your generation, you don't reach out. I'm always in my office most of the time. I never see one of you young men just coming to knock at my door and say, can you just tell us how you did it? You know, the steps you took to open such a business, and you know, this is information that I have in me, and I'm willing to share. But you guys don't approach us.
Would you say that
Yeah,
we are a very selfish generation?
I should. I
100%.
Right? Definitely.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
I think we're very selfish.
Yeah. It's really about you and
Yeah, we've got this whole celebrating of me.
yeah.
That's true.
Personal win zone.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's this
It's
whole
like
like
a culture that's
I don't know if it's this
emanated now.
it's champagne, like popping bottles of champagne culture where, you know, you have to be the hero, you have to be the bag, you know, you have to be no, I'll take the bill, like everywhere.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then flex on everybody, and
Oh yeah.
and I don't know if
Yeah,
it
it
comes
is
from
about
that.
flexing.
Like I think because I think a lot of social media does that, where
Social media, man.
people just want to show this lifestyle, and then later on you start realizing, oh no, that guy stole that money. And it's like, Sha, you were inspiring us with lies.
So you actually may be going through what someone else finds easy.
Yeah,
That's the importance of sharing and talking, yes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And do you know what? I actually want to add to that.
Yeah.
Because I'm running this Airbnb management agency, a friend of mine's got about 15 years experience as in the hospitality industry. And so I call him, I'm in a panic. I'm like, yo, bro, there was a double booking and now I'm stuck because
And
this
he
guest
laughs.
is supposed to go out and then that guest is supposed to come in, and bro, like, you know, I think there's a solution here, but like, ish, they're angry, you know. And he's like, bro,
Come
even
on.
in the biggest, he was like,
Yeah.
even in the biggest hotels, that happens. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm telling you, he's like, you've actually just handled it like a pro. All you need to do is just go the extra mile and maybe refund one night, or give them, you know, get them a gift, get them a bottle of wine and chocolate or whatever. And those little things are what we usually do, but that's pretty normal, bro. That's like a
goes a long
Tuesday
way,
morning.
yeah.
And I was like, and I remember one of my real estate mentors saying this, hang around with people that make your goals sound like their Tuesday morning.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah. Oh, yeah.
if you do that,
you continue to elevate.
yes, and if you do that, they will just give you advice like it's this.
Yeah.
But what it's doing for you is it's elevating you. So you end up being in that class of people. You end up being achieving those things. You end up growing in whatever business that you're doing, or your mindset, because they're just like, oh no, you actually just need to structure and automate a lot of these things in your business, and then you can scale fast.
Yeah.
You know, so whenever you're hanging out with people who are heavy hitters in whatever industry you're in, you quickly learn fast, and
True.
then you stop sweating the small stuff, because they show you that it's small stuff, but to you it's like
Yeah,
it's a big thing, and then someone says 1 2 3 bro, and then you're like, oh, okay, and then next thing you know, the next time it happens, it's just a breeze.
Yeah.
There.
So,
100%,
gents, I've got a
man.
challenge for you.
All right.
Right?
Slim, bro. Slimming
What?
today.
Come on. I'm currently mentoring 3 people.
Okay.
You're mentoring 3.
I'm mentoring 3.
Okay.
All right.
How many are you mentoring right now? And
I
when I'm
have-
saying
okay.
mentoring,
Yeah.
I mean you actually have structured meetings. Yeah, it's structured
Right.
mentoring. How many are you right now?
Structured, no.
Whether in a social perspective, or whether it's business or career-wise. How many people are you mentoring right now?
All right. Okay.
Do you want
I just, I hear you. I just have,
I have
nephews that I talk to, but it's not structured to say, guys, every fortnight or every week we're meeting on this particular day. We're talking and exchanging.
Right.
That is a
Because
challenge.
No.
Because
we need
that's
to
the
start.
that's
We
the
need to start
platform.
the mentor challenge.
The
Yes.
mentor challenge.
Yes.
Mentor challenge.
Yes.
No, you're right.
Let's do
Yeah.
that.
Where you find a mentor to mentor you.
Yes.
And
Number
then
one.
you
And then you find
mentor 2 or
people
3
to mentor,
mentor to
as
mentor.
well. I think that's
I
good
like
because
that.
what it does is
That takes care of the selfishness and our
Yes.
generation.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah.
if you
I
do
like
it,
that.
I do it.
Slim, well done.
You where I'm coming from.
Well done to you, sir.
Well done, Slim, well done.
That's a good one. I agree.
Yeah,
Tino, bro,
that's
well
a
done.
challenge.
Nah,
That's
that
a
is good.
challenge.
That is good. Because that will actually slowly just.
Bro, I thought we were together there.
No, bro.
Really?
So, guys, that's wow. I think thank you to everyone on the panel today for
Absolutely.
sharing.
Nah, this was a good
goes
one.
a long way.
This
and,
was a good one, gents.
That's what we're always saying, that for our podcast, it's from our experiences.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just being real, just being out there and sharing. And mental health is a serious issue that is affecting us as African men and women as well. And we just hope that this particular podcast just raises awareness. We want to raise conversations. People start talking about it, thinking about it on your own, to say, okay, what I'm going through, could it be some of the signs that the gents have discussed, and the causes and possible things you can look to actually improve that state of mind. So I think for today we're good, eh?
Absolutely.
Here's the main event. I work hard, I'm blessed, let me vent. Greatness in my hands, got it by the neck. The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take. Got no votes to make, we don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah.